Modern San Francisco rises, romantic, bustling. A discovery to all who arrive, a wonder to all who explore. Mark Twain gloried at the city by the bay. Echoes of gold and the dreams of the 49ers permeate the streets. From the incarcerated distance of Alcatraz, Al Capone pondered the city. Workers, beat poets, empire builders, and flower children all rose from these same streets, defining San Francisco in the minds of millions throughout the world. San Francisco, California's golden gateway city. A city of fine architecture, adventure, and living history. Midway on California's rugged coast, San Francisco Bay is the largest bay on the West Coast. Vital cities encircle the bay. Oakland and Berkeley to the east, San Jose to the south, and beautiful redwood country to the north, Muir Woods. San Francisco hosts a well-protected seaport. It's no surprise that Fisherman's Wharf is the city's most visited attraction. Street performers entertain. Steaming cauldrons boil the catch of the day. A myriad of restaurants and specialty shops enliven Pier 39. One of the world's top 10 attractions, Pier 39 offers a carousel, bay cruises, and the Great San Francisco Adventure, an action-packed experience at the Cinemax Theater. Sea lions sunbathe and swim as the pier bustles above. Following the 1989 earthquake, hundreds of the creatures adopted Pier 39's K-Dock as home. Nearby, visitors delight at the unusual stores and atmosphere of the cannery and Ghirardelli Square. Chocolate King Domingo Ghirardelli opened the factory in 1893. Stop by the Ghirardelli store to enjoy the sweet results. Trace San Francisco's maritime tradition at Hyde Street Pier. The San Francisco Maritime National Historic Park is home to a variety of historic vessels. Kids get hands-on experience aboard the C.A. Thayer, the Pacific Coast's last commercial sailing ship. Aquatic Park's indoor exhibits live in the streamlined Maritime Museum. Photographs, elaborate models, and rare artifacts help recreate over 100 years of San Francisco's seafaring tradition. At Pier 45, the USS Pomponido preserves the recent past. The submarine is a fully renovated survivor of the Second World War. Fisherman's Wharf is a working wharf. Since the early days of the city, seafarers, fishermen, and traders have gathered around the busy marina. Today, the wharf is a touchstone to scores of destinations around the bay. The Blue and Gold Fleet departs from its home port at Pier 39. A bay cruise offers a refreshing view of the spectacular San Francisco skyline and bay. A popular destination is Alcatraz, isolated island of exiles, cold home to the Birdman and Al Capone. Once ashore, the National Park Service invites visitors to wander the island with the freedom that Alcatraz's inmates never enjoyed. The cell house was built between 1909 and 1912 by U.S. Army prisoners, who in turn became the first inmates contained within its walls. In 1934, Alcatraz became a federal prison. Inmates spent between 16 and 23 hours a day in their 9-by-5-foot cells. Prisoners in good standing were permitted one visit per month. Work, meals, and brief ventures outside brought modest release. The windy exercise yard offered tantalizing glimpses into a city out of reach. In 1946, a revolt started in the prison library. 3 prisoners armed with 2 guns and 72 rounds of ammunition held Alcatraz hostage. 2 guards were killed before the U.S. Marines were deployed to squelch the uprising. All 3 prisoners died in the bloody last stand. In all, 36 men attempted escape on 14 separate occasions. Prisoners who broke regulations were sent to D Block. There, inmates spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, confined inside their cells. Numbers 9 through 14 were reserved for solitary confinement. Stays inside usually lasted 3 days, often in total darkness. Alcatraz closed in 1963. Its operating budget was twice that of any other federal prison, and its buildings were rapidly deteriorating in the abrasive salt air. The island was transferred to the National Park Service and today is part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. Upon returning from Alcatraz, the city seems more vibrant. Take to the open road on San Francisco's 49-mile drive. Established in 1938 for the Golden Gate International Exposition, the drive winds around and through the scenic city. Follow the blue and white seagull signs. Stunning views and homes line the shore of San Francisco's Marina District. Meditate a while before the Palace of Fine Arts. The palace was built as a temporary exhibit for the Panama Pacific Exposition of 1915. When the fair ended, San Franciscans couldn't bear to tear the beautiful structure down. 45 years later, a bond issue, along with a sizable private gift, created the present standing building. Behind the palace stands the Exploratorium, a museum of science, art, and human perception. Continue the 49-mile drive to the California Palace of the Legion of Honor, which houses some of Europe's finest works. A cast of Rodin's Thinker greets visitors. San Francisco's most historic features are encompassed within the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, including Alcatraz, Fort Point, the only fully intact Civil War fort, Cliff House, and gun emplacements built in the 1890s. Miles of bicycle and walking paths weave throughout the area and even across the Golden Gate Bridge. Overlooking the Golden Gate Straits, the Presidio was the site of San Francisco's first Spanish settlement. Established in 1776 by Spanish missionaries, the Presidio was one of the nation's oldest forts. Built on the foundations of the original Spanish headquarters rests the Presidio's Officers Club. Inside, an original adobe wall still stands, a living piece of the 1776 compound. The small Spanish settlement was named Yerba Buena, literally good herb, after a local mint plant. Mexico claimed the fort after winning independence from Spain in 1822. Less than a quarter century later, American soldiers of the ship Portsmouth seized the Yerba Buena Plaza and raised the American flag. The small outpost was renamed San Francisco. One of the world's great cities was about to be born. In 1848, 2 years after the Americans arrived, gold was discovered in the Sierra Nevada mountains. The rush was on. San Francisco became the gateway port to the gold fields. Within months, the tiny trading town of 800 exploded to a city of 25,000. San Francisco boomed. A legacy of the gold rush, the Cliff House of the 1860s hosted San Francisco's elite. The resort burned to the ground in 1894. An ornate Victorian building replaced the original and was exceptionally popular. Next door, a lavish glass structure, the Sutro Bathhouse, was built to pamper thousands of swimmers with heated salt water from the ocean. Today, only the ruins remain. The The second cliff house was destroyed by fire in 1907, just a decade after completion. The Sutro Baths burned later in 1966. The third neoclassical cliff house was built in 1908. Visitors can enjoy the view while dining on seafood or standing before Seal Rock and breathing in the fresh sea air. To this day, Cliff House remains a popular attraction at the edge of the cresting sea. From Cliff House, the 49-mile drive eventually meanders into Golden Gate Park, green heart of the city. Encounter the wealth of its holdings, the Conservatory of Flowers, the Music Pavilion, the California Academy of Sciences, and Stowe Lake. Not part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, this is a city park. The green expanse of Golden Gate Park was once a barren stretch of sand dunes. From 1890 to 1943, Park Superintendent John McLaren transformed over 1,000 acres of sand into an oasis. McLaren planted over 1 million trees during his years of service. The enchanting Japanese Tea Garden. Built in 1894 as a Japanese village for the California Midwinter International Exposition, the garden invites exploration. The scent of tea infuses the air. 5 cultivated acres harbor a sense of peace. The Children's Park is one of the oldest public playgrounds in the country. Explore natural history at the California Academy of Sciences. The Steinert Aquarium delves to the depths of the oceans. From dinosaurs to gemstones, natural history exhibits explore our Earth. Be sure to visit the Academy's state-of-the-art earthquake exhibit. The exhibit opened April 18, 1998, 92 years to the day after the city's first tremendous disaster. San Francisco's earthquakes capture public imagination. From the earliest days of the city to the substantial quake in 1989, these destructive shocks threatened the peace of an otherwise idyllic city. On the morning of April 18, 1906, a severe earthquake jolted the city of San Francisco awake. The quake measured a massive 8.25 on the Richter scale. Homes and buildings toppled. City Hall, only recently constructed, tumbled into ruins. The quake was severe, but the majority of the damage was the result of raging fires. San Francisco's firemen fought bravely, but broken water mains and the force's small numbers could not combat the disaster. Novelist Jack London wandered through the city as it burned. Overwhelmed by the sight, he wrote, "Here and there through the smoke, creeping warily under the shadows of tottering walls, emerged occasional men and women. It was like the meeting of the handful of survivors at the end of the world." 4 days later, among the rubble and smoldering ashes, the remaining population mourned the passing of the city that was. Reconstruction began at once. Soon the fire was no more than a bad memory. In 1915, San Francisco invited the world to celebrate its extraordinary regeneration. The Panama Pacific International Exposition welcomed thousands into the newly rebuilt city. Visitors marveled at San Francisco's renewal, but for Bay Area residents, the process of reconstruction was often overwhelming. The Bay to Breakers foot race was established in 1912 as a way to lift public enthusiasm during the long years of reconstruction. The enthusiasm spread. Today, the 12K Bay to Breakers race draws over 100,000 participants each year, making it the largest foot race in the world. San Francisco is an extraordinarily livable city. Its fair weather and incomparable geography are an outdoor enthusiast's dream. Just north of Golden Gate Bridge is a magical grove of giants, Muir Woods National Monument. The narrow canyon, often shrouded in fog, is named for John Muir, the great naturalist. Walk through the entrance gateway and leave behind the modern world. 6 miles of trails explore the beauty of the canyon. These redwoods, the world's tallest trees, can live for over 2,000 years. The tallest tree in these woods towers at 250 feet. The sanctuary is all the more magical because of its closeness to San Francisco, where there is always something new to explore. The city's compact area contains an extraordinary range of offerings. Jump a cable car, follow the tracks, clatter up the steepest of inclines, pitch back down into the heart of the city. San Francisco's cable cars reach the city's lofty summits and link its famous neighborhoods. 3 lines link the city. The Powell Market line arrives and departs from Fisherman's Wharf. The Powell Hyde line, scenic and rolling. The California line links the financial district to Chinatown and the heights of Grace Cathedral. All 3 lines converge at the Cable Car Museum. Discover the history and inner workings of Andrew Halliday's invention. The system was launched in the summer of 1873. At its heyday, 600 cars covered 110 miles of cable. Today, the cables extend only 4.4 miles, but carry over 13 million passengers each year. From the museum balcony, an overlook affords visitors a glimpse into the working powerhouse. Wire cables drive the system at a steady 9 miles an hour. Regular maintenance keeps the system in top form. The gripman uses a pincher to grab the cable line. The system was designed so that the grip wears out, but the cables do not. Before the advent of the cable car, Nob Hill was known as Fern Hill. The hill was a popular picnic spot, but far too steep for practical living. Cable cars made the hill accessible, and before long, the gold rush's most famous millionaires were purchasing land and building extravagant mansions at the summit. The building material of choice in the gold rush days was redwood. The disastrous fires following the 1906 earthquake leveled the elite neighborhood. Only 2 buildings were left standing on Nob Hill: Flood Mansion and the skeleton of the Fairmont Hotel. The Fairmont Hotel was nearing completion when the Great Quake struck. The hotel rebuilt immediately and opened exactly 1 year later. The plush Victorian interior recalls the opulent days of a bygone era. Flood Mansion, a hardy brownstone at 1000 California, is the sole inheritance of the early Nob Hill days. The building now houses San Francisco's exclusive Pacific Union Club. For a site like no other, journey to the crest of Russian Hill. At Lombard Street, 10 sharp S-curves comprise the crookedest street in the world. Cable cars traverse the heart of the city along the California line, which begins just 1 block away from the Ferry Building. Built in the 1890s, the Ferry Building served as a lifeline to the city before the construction of the Oakland Bay Bridge in 1936. As many as 50 million people entered the city through the ferry terminal every year. The opening of the Oakland Bay Bridge ended the ferry's reign. Commuters took to the bridge at once. Toll revenues far surpassed expectations. The bridge's $77 million price tag proved well worth the expense. 8.5 miles long, the bridge links Alameda County to the heart of San Francisco. It is easily one of the area's most vital structures. The Transamerica Pyramid stretches to the sky. San Francisco's most recognizable piece of skyline. Explore the streets of Chinatown, beginning with Grand Avenue. Here, the Chinatown gates open before sloping pagoda roofs and brightly adorned balconies. Bright produce from scores of grocery stores delight the eyes. The wafting scent of dim sum beckons passers-by. The bustle of street traffic, vendors, and visitors resound. Located in the city's heart, Chinatown is a dense cacophony of commerce, culture, tourism, and everyday life. Home to the largest Chinese population in the United States, Chinatown is a powerful cultural nucleus. Locals gather at Portsmouth Square. Here, the American flag first waved in 1846. Old folks gather for conversation, while children clamber around the playground. A plaque commemorates the site of San Francisco's first schoolhouse. Another honors novelist Robert Louis Stevenson. Waverly Place, the street of painted balconies. Tin Hau Temple commemorates the safe arrival of Chinese in the 19th century. The temple honors Tin Hau, Queen of Heaven and protector of seafarers and journeyers. Bordering Chinatown, Old St. Mary's Church rises. The first cathedral in California, St. Mary's was constructed in 1854 from red brick and stone imported directly from China. Inside, lilting music fills the chamber for frequent concerts and community performances. Atop Nob Hill, the gates of paradise open on Grace Cathedral. Its bronze doors were cast from Ghiberti's original at the baptistry in Florence. Inside, stained glass windows depict modern themes. Murals recount the history of the church and city. Deep in the Mission District, San Francisco's first church is modest in comparison, but rich in history. A small adobe church, the Mission Dolores, is San Francisco's first landmark and oldest standing building. In 1776, 5 days before the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the mission celebrated its first Mass. Masses are still held in the original mission. The sturdy church was constructed of 4-foot-thick adobe walls. Redwood beams were lashed together with rawhide to support the roof. The ceiling was painted with vegetable dyes. Amazingly, the building survived 4 major earthquakes. San Francisco is in constant evolution. Renowned for its cultural and artistic heritage, the modern city's social nucleus rises at Civic Center. Inspired in the Beaux-Arts style, City Hall rises from the midst of Civic Center Plaza. Music resounds at Louise M. Davies Symphony Hall. Founded in 1911, the San Francisco Symphony is one of the nation's oldest and most engaging orchestras. Across the street, the War Memorial Opera House hosts the world-renowned San Francisco Opera and Ballet. One of the city's most visible monuments stretches 180 feet above the peak of Telegraph Hill. Coit Tower was raised in 1933 as a monument to San Francisco's heroic firemen. The murals in the tower lobby were commissioned during the Great Depression by the Public Works of Art project. climb to the top. From the observation floor, visitors are afforded a magnificent panorama of the city. From the base of Telegraph Hill, San Francisco's North Beach extends southwest. This is Little Italy. Washington Square is a green oasis. Bordering the park, the Church of Saints Peter and Paul rises in high Romanesque style. Cecil B. DeMille filmed scenes of the Ten Commandments on the site. Other reminders of the old neighborhood live in crowded Italian restaurants, bakeries, and cafes. The voices of the beat poets linger at Vesuvio Cafe. Across the street, City Lights bookstore spreads their word. Poet Lawrence Ferlinghetti opened the doors to City Lights in 1953. Night falls on the city. A new world draws to life. Aglow in a diffusion of light, the city is transformed. From street to skyline, San Francisco takes on new definition. She is a city wide awake, forever living. The desire for permanence permeates the city. Nowhere is it more finely achieved than in the glory of the Golden Gate Bridge. Spanning the mouth of the Golden Gate Strait, Golden Gate Bridge rises 746 feet into the sky and spans 1.2 miles across the frigid bay water. Chief Engineer Joseph Strauss led the construction of a bridge most professionals of the day believed could not be built. Workers braved gusty winds at towering heights. Construction was completed at a cost of $35 million and was opened to pedestrians May 27, 1937. Over 41 million vehicles cross the bridge annually. It is San Francisco's most famous and well-used structure. The Golden Gate Bridge stands as one of America's greatest monuments to human ingenuity, a gateway to the world beyond. San Francisco, city of dreams drawn to life, of art and architecture, solitude, glorious days, and illuminated nights. A city to remember, living legend. San Francisco, city by the bay. To order this video and many others, call 1-800-677-7607 or visit our website at www.encountervideo.com.